Oh, they pop in and out.
Good morning or good afternoon, good evening. This is Joe Weston. It's August 23rd, 2022. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our online practice for reviving the global heart. And we've been having fun before we even got started here, just checking in with each other, connecting in all around the world. We have some resonance with our backgrounds, as you can see. And as we create many different ways of using the World Wide Web to connect with one another and weave the golden thread of lasting peace throughout the world. And a deep honor and respect for each and every one of you who show up, whether you show up every week, whether you show up once every 3 months, once every year, you show up. And that says a lot about who you are, for your commitment to be part of something larger than yourself in any small way. At this moment, the planet needs that any small way we can be what I use creative social activism, which anything that we can do that is cultivating more peace and more unity and love and connection and empowerment for those who don't have empowerment, and is any little thing we can do. And this is one of those things, and it's remarkable to see you all as we hold space for this idea of a world of lasting peace, as we cultivate within this practice fierce civility and resilience, so that we can really understand what it means to be protectors and nurturers for ourselves, for others, and for the integrity of how we treat one another, and our discussions and how we engage with one another. This week, I'm really pleased to introduce our guest, who I've been developing a really sweet relationship with, a local in the DC area, who is a remarkable person. I'll say a little bit about what she says about herself, or what she shares. Louise is an entrepreneur of the spirit in ever emerging projects and places. Currently, she serves as teaching mentor in a leadership development program and as a spiritual companion for groups and individuals. Louise is also the author of the Spirit Journey curriculum, and this is fascinating, a forthcoming children's book to benefit No Child Goes Hungry. And she's a minister at All Souls Unitarian Church in DC. My sense of Louise is that what moves me most, what I notice most, is her commitment to embodying intuitive wisdom and moving through the world in that way. So Louise, welcome. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Joe. I really appreciate it. And I have not been in this group regularly, and I so enjoyed it last week, and I want to start to put it into my anchoring practices. So I appreciate the chance to be here. Thank you.
So share with us what you'd like to share with us. What, who you are, what, any wisdom you have, and also getting a message from Todd. Also, whatever you have to share. Also, this question: what does reviving the global heart mean to you? I'm going to need to be able to share screen. Oh, he's going to need to be able to.
I think Todd's gonna screen share.
Do I make you a host, Todd?
You can make him a co-host too.
Okay.
Whichever.
So I'll do that.
I know I didn't want to share because I always have a hard time sharing and talking. It seems like I mess up one or the other if I try to do them. So thank you for flying in, Todd. I appreciate it. But we don't need to share yet, screen share yet. Let me share. What I was thinking about in reviving the global heart recently, kind of came up last week in practice too, is this sense of joy, delight that's within the pillar of flexibility. And I really appreciated Joe's work. I haven't done a long training, but I've done like short workshops a long time ago and had the book, and I use it regularly in a parallel life here. I thought about how, for me, sometimes practice can take on a disciplined quality that gets a little intense. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to create my program, I'm going to work it. And really, the lighter part of my personality, the playful side, the side that enjoys delight and joy, is nourished most when I stay flexible. So I wanted to just read a little thing. This is Pema Chodron in one of those small compilation books, Awakening Loving Kindness. I thought she puts it well. On a day of silence like today, when things are very still, you may find that you are feeling grim and doing everything with a grim expression, opening the door, drinking your tea, concentrating so hard on being quiet and still and moving slowly that you're subtly miserable. On the other hand, you could just relax and realize that behind the worry, the complaint, the disapproval, the sun is always coming up in the morning, moving across the sky and going down in the evening. The birds are always out there collecting their food and making their nests and flying across the sky. The grass is always being blown by the wind or standing still. There's enormous richness. You could develop your passion for life and your curiosity and your interest. You could connect with your joyfulness. You could start right now. And I find that connecting with that joyfulness is really what keeps me more fluid and balanced. This is not to say that I don't get grim. I find that the more stressed I get, or the more I'm out into the output, or I'm working my list, the more I tend to tense up instead of staying flexible with new situations. So I just wanted to tell a little story about a trip I just took and an incident in that. And we can screen share now, Todd. Where did Todd go? There he is. And I don't know what order these are going to come up in. So this is in Scotland. I just went to the Isle of Iona and the Isle of Staffa. This is Staffa. You take a ferry from Iona, and it has these very distinctive basalt columns which were formed. If you go to the next picture, you'll see that there are these caves in this incredible island, and the ferry takes you around. And then the next picture is Iona. This is where we came from. So we were on this island where there's a certain quality of water we were talking about earlier before the recording started, with the turquoise and the indigo and this gorgeous view of the sea. In the next picture, there's just a sense of moving out into those colors that I think creates a lightness and a delight in life. And it's very fortunate to be able to go there. And I spent a week there absorbing nature, I'd say, with a group. The next slide. This is Iona was created from the burst of a supernova approximately 2.8 billion years ago. We met with a geologist and learned a lot about the stone and the rocks. All the minerals that exist are present on Iona, so it's interesting geologically. And different parts of the island have very beautiful formations. And then next picture. This is the main story. So when we took the ferry from Iona to Staffa, you land where those caves are, but then you climb up very steep, very high stairs, 5 flights of them up to the top. And you're wanting to see if you can be with the puffins. This was the season for puffins. And when we got to the top, there was this huge wide open meadow. And to be in the range of puffins, you need to be in their environment. And so you lie in the grass, you go to the edge of the cliff and you lie in the grass and stay still and see if they'll come in. And they're circling hundreds and hundreds counterclockwise, moonwise in the sky. And they're flying in like hummingbirds, 2 at a time, to feed their young in small caves that they've dug. So the next picture. So this is a puffin up close, which I didn't realize is only about this tall. You know, it's not a big bird. And this is not magnified. I mean, this is where the puffins were. So we're lying on the grass and there are just like dozens spread across the cliff with us. And we were able to lie on the grass and watch them fly in pairs for almost an hour. And it was very quiet. All we could hear was air and sea and the flutter of wings coming in like hummingbirds. To experience the depth of delight of that hour, I'm still digesting it, but it took me so far into the sense of delight and playfulness and reminded me of how Joe speaks of the pillar of flexibility being the quality of air, the quality of movement. And it was such an air experience with these birds and the magic of their tending of the young, and to be human yet creature in their environment, and just to stand down and be quiet and observe and receive. So it's really a really beautiful, beautiful experience that took me into the heart of delight. I think that's the last slide now. And the last thing I just wanted to say is I looked up, I have my signed copy of Respectful Confrontation from 2012. And when I looked at that pillar of flexibility again and really thought about tuning in, I noticed Joe saying that the movement is backwards, like to pull back, to move down, to yield, and that air in this quality has this cyclical experience in what I was seeing of these circles and circles of hundreds of birds and then dozens of birds flying down to meet us. And I thought this was so good, written by Joe Weston. The process of adapting and yielding to what is presented to you, you grow and get stronger. With every encounter, you are asked to use certain skillful means unique to that situation. If you are in familiar surroundings, you have an arsenal of ways to make that situation work for you. Arsenal, air quotes. Each time you find yourself in a new situation, you have to use your creativity and power to increase your skill set. It's like you are upgrading your own internal software. And the larger your skill set, the wiser you become, and the more your true power is revealed. And I think there was something about that experience that upgraded my software. I'm still figuring it out, but it was just the embodied sense of receiving flight, of being with creatures for whom we are really irrelevant, and lying in this very soft grass looking at such a thing of joy and delight and beauty. So a question I had that we might ponder, and maybe people want to say something now or later, is what delights you? What brings you into joy? And how does that connect with flexibility for you, if it does? So what delights you? What moves you into joy? And how does that connect with flexibility or not?
Louise, if you don't mind, I mean, I love the inquiry, and I'm not sure if you can say, no, I don't want to do it, but there's another aspect, there's another layer of the whole trip to Scotland about
Yes.
your roots and your heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that arises in your heart to share around that, or that connects with all this?
Yes. Well, the context for the trip is I'm with a group of 13 women. It was called Rewilding and Remembering. And we did this journey with a eco-theologian and a somatic experiencing yoga teacher. And for me, I have 4 lines that come from Scotland, ancestral lines, and I've never been before. So it was my first 2 weeks in Scotland, and it was to re-encounter some of the ancestral lands, both the beauty of it and the real pain of it, actually, the sorrow of it. I have a lot of ancestors that come from the very, very harsh Protestant Reformation that took place in Scotland and really oppressed those in the Celtic observances and even the Catholic communities. So my great 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 grandfather, I don't know how many, is John Knox, the founder of Presbyterianism, and he seems to have been a tortured and torturing person in the sense that he just wreaked destruction. And so to re-encounter the Celtic ways, which I have over the last 20 years or so, and then to be in Scotland experiencing it and exploring the history, and to be in some ritual around that in Iona was the larger context for why I was there, which is a lot, I know.
Oh, I think it adds resonance to the story to find the likeness of being of these creatures in such dense and harsh conditions. And
Maybe one thing I'll add is on Iona itself, it's in the Hebrides, it's up in the north western part of Scotland. There are these layers of culture. So it used to be called the Isle of the Druids, and there was a lot of nature-based, earth-based, ancient spiritual sites. And then there was the overlay in the 6th century of the Benedictines, who came in and founded an abbey. And then somewhere also around the 1200s and into the 1500s, there was a women's community that was Augustinian, so out of St. Augustine's order. And they seemed to live in a way that was really separate from the abbey, and no one knows much about them. And in around 1563, when the Protestant Reformation started, they came in and disrupted the abbey, disrupted the nunnery, in the same way that the Vikings had eventually built up over time with extreme conflict and confrontation. And there's one beach called Beach of the Martyrs where the Vikings slaughtered 68 of the monks. And so there are these layers of people defending turf, defending territory on top of an ancient earth site that seems to show the worst and sometimes the best of humanity. And now Iona is a worldwide gathering place that's ecumenical, and many people go there in this Iona community from around the world that has, I would say, a progressive Christian bent, but focused entirely really on living in harmony and social justice. And so there are people who arrive on the ferries from all over the world looking at a site that has that kind of what I experience is almost like a power vortex. There is a vibe on Iona that feels like everything is in a little bit extra dimension. And George MacLeod, who founded Iona Community, said it was the entire island is a thin place, where the veils between the worlds are thin. So it was quite the experience. I'm very fortunate, and I think it's one of those things that took me a long time to get there. It's going to take me a long time to work with it, because I think it was life altering in that way that only plays out over months, years, maybe. Thank you, Joe, for those extra questions.
Yeah, no, it's very resonant. It's a real personal journey, and to share that with us in this way, I think is very generous and also very powerful. So thank you.
Well, thank you all for your listening. I know you don't know me and I'm not in this community of practice, so thank you for letting me fly in to share.
Fly in like a puffin.
Like a puffin on Zoom.
Well, Well, let's do our practice, and then if there's, Louise had posed a question, and if anyone wants to share, then we'll bring that into the practice. So yeah, so as always, sitting in a way where your spine is straight without being rigid. Power sit, allowing for the most, as we cultivate presence, awareness, balance, and flow to allow the most to flow through you. As well as maintaining that level of the constant dynamic state of balance. Relaxing your jaw, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your belly. From this position, becoming aware of your center in your lower belly, approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body, from the front of the body. Place of personal power. Also see this as a constant. It's always with you. And as you move, it moves with you. As it moves with you, move with it. Something you can always come back to for that sense of grounding, coming home. In the sense of home, coming back to our roots, coming back to home, just settling into that, whatever that means for you, in your core. From your center, become aware of your contact points, the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on and the ground. From those points, feeling the stability under you, which perhaps can allow your nervous system to feel, wow, this is stable. I don't have to hold myself up. I can actually drop in and be held. Let yourself be held. Considering that even though you're sitting on a chair or a cushion and a floor, that beneath that is Mother Earth. And as we do when we're on vacation or holiday, and as Louise did when she was on this island and was with a geologist, just imagine what was happening in this exact spot where you are sitting 1.8 billion years ago. What could have possibly been happening exactly where you are right now 1.8 billion years ago? Very quickly from 1.8 billion years ago, staying in the same spot, bringing yourself up into this present moment, honoring Mother Earth and all of her flexibility and adaptability and changes. To be in co-creation with us and being able to survive and exist on this planet. With that reverence for Mother Earth and for the journey of flexibility. Coming more into the present moment from your center, become aware of your physical body. Listening to the vocabulary of the body speaking to you now. Specifically focusing on where is the fluidity, where's the flexibility, where's the spaciousness, where is there constriction, and maybe breathing into that to open to more possibility, space. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. Listening to the vocabulary of the emotions, of the feelings, of speaking to you. Where are they tight and rigid? Where can you create in that tightness more space and possibility? Room for more joy and delight. From your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. Again, just tracking and listening from your center. Collecting the data and assessing where are your thoughts perhaps tight and rigid. And how can you breathe some space into that to create more possibility? and hope. From your center, maintaining a connection with your core, connecting now with your heart in the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides. And from your core and from your heart, becoming aware of that part of you that has connection to something larger than yourself, that listens in a different way, perhaps. And from that part of you, becoming aware of what your connection might be in this moment to something larger than yourself. And as you open to that possibility of connection, where is there rigidity or tightness within you that perhaps constricts that flow? See if you can breathe into that to open to more possibility and freedom. With this awareness at this moment with yourself, allow that awareness to just flow out to the edges of your personal boundaries in all directions, filling this sense of spaciousness and possibility into your personal space. A light internal swirling in your personal space of creativity and possibility and delight. And with this awareness of yourself in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Imagining as if you're lying on the beautiful grass on a beautiful cliff of a beautiful island, from your center and from your heart, become aware of your own personal space that you're in, your surroundings, with that same level of curiosity and openness, receptivity. Being in relationship with your surroundings, where you're feeling rigidity or tightness, with your relationship with your surroundings, breathing into that to create more flow and fluidity. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. With this awareness of yourself and your surroundings, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. Taking this level of connection and into this present moment with yourself and your surroundings, from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those in this meditation circle who are joining us at this moment in various parts of the planet, having in the space of what the results are of 4 billion years of unfolding on this planet in this moment. Various parts of Europe, various parts of North America, other parts of the world. And from your center and from your heart, opening to an awareness and connection with each and every one of us. If you're feeling any restrictions in your mental body, your emotional body, your physical body, breathing into that, to creating that sense of flow, that possibility, creativity. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And with that sense of connection with yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, and the creative possibility that we create when we come together in community, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. From your center and from your heart, with this connection with self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, become aware of all human beings, beginning with those human beings you would label loved ones. Who rises in your heart? What faces do you see? And with that level of assertive receptivity to simply lie on the grass and allow beings to come to you, puffins come flying in, engage with your loved ones in that way, to allow them to feel the trust from you, the stillness from you, to come in to engage with you in a light way, in a flowing way. Noticing the impact that has on you and them. Any places where you're feeling constriction, to breathe into that, to open to deeper levels of flow, using skillful means to stay engaged. Playfulness, delight. From your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings you would label stranger, thinking of all the spots on this planet that they are inhabiting. 4 billion years of a planet evolving in co-creation with all of us. From your center and from your heart, connecting with them, who arises in your heart? How many can you hold in your heart? And with that same level of receptivity and assertiveness and stillness, allowing them to come in like puffins, to just flow in and be in relationship with you. Both, all of you taking flight, the flight of possibility and hope. Noticing how that impacts you, impacts them. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings you would label adversary, and who arises in your heart, and what faces do you see? How many can you hold in your heart at this moment? Noticing where in your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, there may be suddenly constriction. See if you can use your own skillful means to breathe into that, to open to possibility. With that same receptivity, that same level of assertiveness, inviting them to take flight with you. Envisioning a world of possibility, of peace, of love, of nonviolence. All of us in harmony with Mother Earth, flowing with the elements, with delight and joy. Which of course, we all can feel at this moment. Mother Earth herself suddenly has a big smile of delight. All beings. And with this awareness of self, surroundings, and all human beings, regardless of how you label them, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. And with this awareness, allow all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle. Enjoying a moment of recognition, of appreciation, shared experience with those in this meditation circle. Deeper level of resonance as those in this meditation circle flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Bring this whole experience back into your personal space, into the world you're inhabiting in this moment, on this point on the planet. Allowing your surroundings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. Breathing in any constriction at all, just to see if you can breathe into more this idea of possibility, taking flight. Feeling the power of that. Finding the delight and joy even in the harshness, the harsh conditions. Allowing the benefits of this practice, the energy of this practice to flow into every cell of your body, igniting and bringing delight and joy to every cell of your body. Flowing into your organs to heal and nurture all of your organs. Bringing your organs into a harmonious balance of working together. Allowing this practice to now flow into your core, your battery, charging your battery. And letting it seep deep into your nervous system as a way to remember this, creating the muscle memory to be able to walk this in the world. That idea of even in the harshest conditions, we can find our flight and lightness. And as a way to close this practice, let's take one final breath in. Making this transition of this internal practice you've done to now see if you can connect this into the world around you and walk this into the world. Slowly open your eyes. Look around the space you're in. Stretch your body, shake your body, get the energy moving. Bringing your awareness back to the squares on the screen, to those in joining us. So we started with a beautiful motivation and inspiration. We did our practice, and now we have time to reflect. We have a few minutes. Does anybody want to share your reflection or respond to Louise's question or whatever's arising in your heart?
I'll just take a second to thank Louise for your sharing and not minimizing the intensity and the tragedy of what you were reminded of when you were there. I want to thank you for your puffins. We happened to be sitting in my sister's home where our mother passed away. We marked the 14th anniversary of her death just last week. And my mother read, because I insisted constantly on her reading a little golden book. They were called Little Golden Books. And my favorite book was about Mrs. Ticklefeather. She was an eccentric woman who had a pet puffin. And until years later, I'm embarrassed to say how many years later, I thought puffins were make-believe. But so Joe, during our exercise, I was able to bring Louise's puffins into my heart, and I'm sitting in the house where our mother passed away, and I am feeling so like I'm flying. So thank you.
That's nice.
Oh, what a gift to hear that. I feel like your mother is with us too. Thank you.
What's your mother's name?
Myrtle.
Her name was
Mhm.
Myrtle. And we're both very grateful we weren't named for her when we were born. Just joking.
Thank you, Jean.
Too. Thank you.
I wanted to thank you also, Louise, for sharing today. I go to a Unitarian church here in Newburyport, Massachusetts. And I was also on Iona 5 years ago when I turned 60. I went there as a special thing with this group from Findhorn, which is an eco-village in Scotland. And it was very, very special. We were there for the equinox, so it was past the puffin time. But it was so lovely today to see the pictures of the puffins and see staffa and so forth. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that. I was on the phone with somebody who's a Findhorn rep last night too. So I feel like there's some kind of resonance with Findhorn and Iona that are similar territories of transformational change. So thank you for naming that. Another place in Scotland.
Yeah, Findhorn has a cottage on Iona. It was gifted to them. So that's where we stayed when I was there. And again, we did a lot of the same things that you were talking about. But again, it is a beautiful place of transformation, and it's up on the Moray coast. So it's a little ways from there, but I highly recommend it if anyone's taking a trip to Scotland, both places are wonderful to visit.
This was the person in Virginia who was recreating a Findhorn-like place there, and we were talking about co-creation, the idea of co-creation with nature, and that you can really feel that. I feel like the puffins were asking us to co-create. And
maybe the puffin can become our mascot.
somebody looked up puffins online after our encounter, and in some system, you know, I don't know who designs this, the puffin was the totem of self-care. I found that really fascinating. This sense of nurture and comfort and ground with air so that you may be of benefit to all. That's how I interpret it. So I think you could do worse as a mascot. I think it's a good mascot.
I have a short, very, very short story that just happened now. Thank you, Louise. And when you were talking, I was like just fascinated. I was traveling. Thank you for taking me to Iona. And I am in a room with 2 windows here in Maryland. And it was noise in one window, a lot of noise. So in the window per se. So I moved there and I looked, and there were 4 birds. And they were making noise there and looking inside. That never happened in my entire life living in this house, 25 years plus living here. I'm sure they wanted to hear you. Thank you.
Louise is a very powerful person.
I think so many people have gotten fascinated with birds and trees during the pandemic. I know I connected to a lot out my windows that I used to literally just pass by. But now, I think it was Robert was talking about the silver maple in your yard, the huge tree, before we started. Something about the birds and the trees right now, I feel, are trying to get our attention, like co-create, be part of nature, be part of evolving, not part of dissolution, you know, or dissolve to evolve. So I'm so glad the birds came for you. It was through no power of mine, I'm quite sure.
Well, on that note, this idea, be part of the creation, not the evolution, not the dissolution. Let's do our dedication. Thank you, Louise. It's an honor to have you. I'm glad I get to share you with others. It's really sweet in my experience. So we started with our motivation. We did our practice. We had a chance to reflect. Now let's dedicate that the delight we're feeling, the possibility, the joy in our hearts, that sense of skillful means through flexibility of creating space, particularly in the harshest conditions. May that spread to all beings. May that all beings feel that awakening within themselves. To realize that oftentimes to create the new, some things have to dissolve. And that is just like this planet, 4 billion years, it's a constant process. And that we open to that with joy, with delight, with power, with a sense of connection and safety. And all those who are struggling right now in that process of deep constriction and rigidity, may they find their way to freedom and fluidity. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And may all governments and world leaders govern from the spirit of the puffin, delight and flight and possibility, as opposed to greed and fear. Okay, thank you. It's great to see you all. I will not be here next week, and Todd and Tori are going to be leading you next week. So come, please support them. I'll be in the middle of a training, and I look forward to seeing when I come back. And as always, tell people about this, bring them along, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
You,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.